afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the 28th webinar in the series on ESCO topics brought to you from the Global ESCO Network. Today's topic is the ESCO market in Turkey. It's presented to you by Mr. Onur Ünlü, who's the president of the board of EYODER, the ESCO Association in Turkey. My name is Søren Lütken. I'm chairing the Global ESCO Network, which is hosted by United Nations Environment Program in collaboration with the Efficiency Evaluation Organization. We've been running this network for the past 5 years with a number of activities which you would be able to familiarize yourselves with on our website. Before we go to today's program, let me just very briefly introduce what the Global ESCO Network is about and why we were established. The Global ESCO Network is motivated by climate change, working for the integrated use of the ESCO industry as implementation partners for widespread investments in energy efficiency. Our mission is to add to and reinforce existing efforts of national and regional ESCO associations to promote the increased activities by the ESCO industry at a global scale. So we are in fact not organizing ESCOs as such, we are organizing ESCO associations, and thus becomes a network of networks, so to say. So we are not duplicating efforts, we are reinforcing what is already happening in the market and promoting the development of policy and regulatory conditions for ESCOs to thrive at a global scale. Now, today's topic on the Turkish market for ESCO services is not entirely randomly chosen, and the timing particularly not. In a month's time from now, we are organizing the second International ESCO Symposium in Istanbul. And we thought that the president of that conference, which is Mr. Onur Ünlü, who's speaking today, would be the perfect timing, the perfect match for a presentation on the Turkish market, the Turkish ESCO market. On the 7th and 8th of May in Istanbul, we have a 2-day conference where we are hoping to gather more than 200 ESCO professionals and stakeholders in the ESCO market, not only in Turkey, but on a global level. We have already registrants from, I think we're already on 6 continents now, and we are still counting. Well, there are not more continents, but there are more countries. So we would really hope that you would join us at this important event in Istanbul. You can register your participation under the 2 links provided here on the website, but you will also receive after your participation here a specific email with registration information. So with this, I would like to hand over the microphone to Mr. Onur Ünlü. A bit of housekeeping before I do so, though. Q&A session is following the presentation, so please submit your questions under the Q&A tab on your screen. We will come back to the Q&A after the presentation. The session will run about an hour, and you will also be able to revisit the presentation. It will be recorded, and you will be receiving a link to the recording, which also will be placed where the other, so far, 27 webinars that we made on ESCOs are hosted at our website. With this, Onur Ünlü, please take over the microphone, and I will step back here and wait for the Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Søren, for the nice introduction, and I would like to welcome you all. Like you, it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the people who are joining us here. Let me just share my screen. Thank you, Søren, for the nice introduction. Hello, my name is Onur Ünlü. I'm currently the president for EYODER, Energy Efficiency and Management Association here in Turkey. Today, I'm just going to speak about, first of all, our association, the overview of Turkey in general, then the energy market, then the ESCO market, pros and cons, and would like to finalize with the invitation to the second International ESCO Symposium, which will be held in a month's time in Istanbul. So EYODER was established in 2010 with the promotion of not only the energy efficiency consultancy companies back then, but also certified energy managers and certified energy auditors has founded the company. Today we have roughly 80 members, and we have expanded our membership infrastructure into supporting sectors which are part of the ESCO ecosystem, like financial institutions, insurance companies, lawyers, technology providers, or contractors, as well as ESCO companies and energy efficiency consultancy companies. We became member to Global ESCO Network 2 years ago, and we have joined the last year's annual gathering in Paris, and we also joined the first International ESCO Symposium in Paris as well. EYODER is the only NGO in Turkey that aims to create synergy by bringing together the Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources, who is responsible from all our activities, all the ecosystem activities, and they accredit energy efficiency consultancy companies, as well as ESCO certified energy efficiency professionals and managers, academia, financial institutions, insurance companies, and technology developers and suppliers. Our goal is to set up a healthy ESCO market in Turkey and to support all the awareness raising activities and to support government for the related legislations and laws to take in place. We provide technical training sessions, especially we provide technical training sessions on measurement and verification, which is a CMVP course supported by EVO. We also provide supporting training sessions for the professionals in Turkish market who are applying for certified energy manager courses or certified energy auditor courses. We have almost 17 lecturers on those courses, and all of them are actually the professionals that are highly accredited in the market on their own area. We do have connections with international and national institutions. We are member to Danish Green Growth Network, Global ESCO Network, Federation of Sectoral Associations here in Turkey, Union of Chamber and Commodity Exchanges of Turkey. We are actually a part of Climate Control Assembly. We work with Association of Construction Material Producers and Turkish Business Confederation, which is the biggest business NGO here in Turkey. We do have sectoral collaborations because when you're talking about energy efficiency or energy transition or renewable energy, you have to have sectoral collaborations. One of them is Environmental Friendly Green Building Association here in Turkey. We also work with many others working in that area to develop all the subjects and all the goals. When we look at the Turkish market as an overview, energy efficiency plays a crucial role in mitigating climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions and overall energy consumption. Efficient use of energy resources helps minimize environmental impact and enhances energy security and fosters sustainable economic growth. Transitioning to energy efficient technologies and practices is vital for achieving global climate goals and ensuring a cleaner, greener future for generations to come. So this is common for all the countries all around the world. But what different in Turkish market is that Turkey is rapidly growing economy with rising demand for energy across various sectors, including residential, commercial, industrial, and transportation. This is not just the meaning of since Turkey is a developing country, we demand more energy. No, that is also valid for the fact that Turkey is, located in a geographical position where we are deeply affected with huge earthquakes. So deep renovation projects for buildings is taking place, and when you renovate the building, you obviously improve the living conditions or air conditioning conditions of the building, which in fact impacts the energy consumption dramatically. Historically, Turkey has been heavily reliant on imported fossil fuels such as oil and natural gas to meet its energy needs. Historically, it was like 80% of our energy consumption is imported. Now it's reduced down to 72% general. In recent years, there has been a notable shift towards diversifying the energy mix. Like all other countries all around the world, we put more emphasis on renewable energy sources. Right now, Turkey is on investment level in the top 10 in the world on renewable energy investments. Mainly solar and wind power installations are taking place right now. We have completed most of the hydropower and geothermal in the previous years. The Turkish government has been actively promoting renewable energy development as part of its broader strategy to enhance energy security, reduce dependency on fossil fuels, and achieve sustainability goals. Despite progress in renewable energy deployment, challenges such as grid integration, financing, and regulatory hurdles remain, underscoring the need for comprehensive policies and initiatives to accelerate the transition towards a more sustainable energy future. As we are located very close to European Union, we are not a member, but we do have commercial relations with the European Union. We usually follow the recent developments on climate actions, and we usually take them into action in Turkey as well. So sometimes those actions are not quite suitable with the Turkey's way of doing business, or how we live, or how we govern the country. So there are sometimes we see sort of failures or some burdens for the market players. When you look at the primary energy consumption and GTB, you can see that the change in primary energy consumption is not increasing as rapidly as GDP, because our goal is to reduce energy density as much as possible. So when you look at the figures on the starting from 2000, if we take 2000 as a reference, we have reduced it dramatically, almost on final energy density, almost 30% if you compare to 2000 numbers. Our target is to increase energy consumption per capita in order to become a more developed country and increase the living standards of the citizens living in Turkey. But at the same time, we are trying to reduce primary energy intensity as well. So this is a very difficult challenge because on one side you want to increase the energy consumption, on the other side you want to reduce the energy intensity. So this is not a one-way approach. On one side we are having, I will explain you later during the presentation, but we do have climate action goals and plans in place to reduce energy consumption. But at the same time, we are trying to increase our GDP throughout new technologies so that our energy intensity will go down. When you look at the electricity grid on installed capacity and production portfolio, we do have green is the renewable energy, wind and solar, blue is the hydraulic, black is the fossil fuels, and yellow is the other renewables such as geothermal. You can see that the renewable portfolio is getting bigger, and in 2024 we have days where we have produced 80% of the total electricity demand from renewable energy. So when you look at the electricity market, we have the producers, production, most of them are privately owned. Then we have the transmission from power plants. That transmission is run by the government. The operating body is called TEİAŞ. Then we have the wholesale private companies once again. So they buy the electricity from the transmission and sell it to the end users. Then we also have distribution networks where they cover the residential areas like a city or a district. So we have sort of mostly private but publicly regularized electricity production and distribution network. Current prices are like $123 per megawatt is the recent price, including tax and everything. So when you look at the gas line, natural gas is one of the main resources for thermal energy. We do have the supply by the government. We have the wholesale and the transmission by the government. But for distribution to the end users, we have private companies active in 72 zones. But in general, this is a regularized market where the gas price is on average $29.5 per megawatt. This is excluding tax. So tax is like 20%. So you can simply say that including the tax is like $36 per megawatt. When you look at the legislative point of view, the first thing that kicked in Turkey in terms of those climate actions is that in 2005 we had the renewable energy law. That is when the solar and wind power get in place. We also see geothermal and hydraulic power plant installations pick up a pace after 2005. In 2007, we did have the energy efficiency law, and in following year, in 2008, government has many regulations based on the energy efficiency law, but the main focus was that they accredited the companies who would like to work as an energy efficiency consultancy company. So there are 67 energy efficiency consultancy companies in Turkey right now, accredited by the government, working either in building segment or the industrial segment, and some of them work in both segments. Back then, as the ESCO market, there are no ESCO companies in 2007. government thought that it would be a good idea to start with the consultancy. Then in the upcoming years, naturally, ESCOs will come and take over the market. In 2010, we have the climate change strategy, and from that day onwards, we do have different laws and legislations in place, and the final one is announced in 2024, which is the second National Energy Efficiency Action Plan, which was very ambitious to reduce down emissions by 100 million tons CO2 equivalent by 2030. Now we have a new climate law, which is basically focusing on emission trading system, which is passed from the commissions and came into Senate, and it'll be, it's expected to be accepted either next month or the following month. So we will have the emissions trading system and the climate law to be kicked in within this year. We have different ministries responsible from different areas, but we do have as a main Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources are responsible for formulating and implementing policies related to energy efficiency, renewable energy, and natural resources management. We do have Ministry of Environment and Urbanization. Now the name changed actually. Ministry of Environment, Urbanization, and Climate Change is responsible from protecting the environment, promoting sustainable urban development, and ensuring compliance with climate action plans. We do have Energy Market Regulatory Authority, which actually regulates the electricity and natural gas markets in Türkiye. We have Ministry of Industry and Technology to promote new technologies and industrial standards for the huge green transition happening all around the world. We have Ministry of Treasury and Finance, who regulates the financial aspect of those investments and generates incentive schemes. We have Union of Municipalities of Turkey, where all the municipalities are trying to get climate action policies in place or trying to invest on renewable energy or energy efficiency activities, not only in buildings or street lighting or those kind of things, but also in transportation as well. We do have Turkish Standards Institution and Turkish Science Improvement Association to support those activities with standards and technological developments. So if you look at Turkey, Paris Agreement was approved in 2021. Then we announced our net zero goal as 2053. Our second National Energy Efficiency Action Plan kicked in 2024, which will be in place till 2030, where we are targeting 100 million tons CO2 reduction by energy efficiency actions only. This is not including any renewable or energy transition. This is energy efficiency. We do have our NDCs, where we would like to reduce our emissions by 41% until 2030, which is an equivalent of 5 million tons CO2. And since Turkey is a developing country, we expect our emissions to peak in 2038. So what we have in place is that we have National Climate Change and Mitigation Strategy and Action Plan, which was announced in 2023 and will be active till 2030. Mainstreaming energy efficiency in all sectors, maximizing using of renewable energy, and all related actions are stated here. We have the European Green Deal Action Plan, which was announced in 2021, right after Europe has announced European Green Deal. This is run by Ministry of Commerce, but it's jointly run by all other ministries as well. So they are following the developments of Türkiye under compliance with European Green Deal. We do have Energy Efficiency 2030 Strategy and National Energy Efficiency Action Plan, as I mentioned you before, and finally National Energy Plan, which is focusing all the actions until 2035, stating the energy consumptions, electricity consumptions, and all renewable energy investments, everything under this plan. So what we do in Turkey so far is that we are focusing on many subsectors. One of them is a residential sector. In terms of ESCO market, it's quite a difficult one because the residential sector in Turkey is that we do have these apartment buildings where you have 20 up to 200 apartments in a building, and they're owned by different people. So it's quite difficult to sign any sort of energy performance contract where you have multi-ownership. But we do have laws, legislations, and ongoing activities related to energy efficient appliances. Currently, Turkey is encouraging the use of energy efficient appliances such as refrigerators, air conditioners, and lighting fixtures. We do have building retrofit programs, which comes with financial support on insulation mainly, and other retrofits, including seismic developments. We do have energy efficient heating and cooling programs where we are promoting the use of energy efficient air conditioning systems. On agriculture sector, we do have resource management techniques, efficient watering systems, sustainable farming certifications, and energy efficiency measures to optimize mainly the energy consumption for farming and process of foods. On industrial sector, which is quite the important one, because in Turkey, industrial sector is the sector who is pushing forward the energy efficiency applications, the ESCO market rapidly, because most of the Turkish industrial sector companies are exporting products outside of Turkey, where there are quite a lot of new laws and legislations are taking place under green transition. So in industrial sector, you can see how the energy consumption is reducing. Energy efficiency assessments where the detailed energy audits are obligatory, mandatory for almost all the industrial plants. They have to complete it in once in every 4 years and present it to the government with their action plans. They are focusing on process optimization and energy management systems. Turkey is also one of the key countries where the energy management systems are widely popular among the industrial plants. For the transportation sector, we have sustainable mobility solutions, vehicle efficiency standards, and alternative fuels and infrastructure investments ongoing, where we are not only investing on different energy efficient transportation methods, but we are also trying to optimize the ways and bridges and tunnels, trying to reduce the energy consumption in transportation. Unfortunately, when you consider transportation, usually it's we see that railroad transportation, especially if you carry heavy items or other manufactured products in Turkey. That's mainly done with the trucks instead of railroads. So this is something Turkey is investing on the railroad infrastructure as well. So when we look at the energy efficiency potential before getting into ESCO market, Turkey has quite a potential on the energy efficiency area. As EYODER, we have completed a couple of surveys in the industrial subsectors, from packaging, plastic, white goods, glass, cement, ceramics, metal, food and beverages, pharma, paper, chemistry, and petrochemicals, wood, automotive, and textile subsectors. What we see is that in general, just with energy efficiency, there is an energy efficiency potential of 32%, where the average investment cost is almost $2,000 to reduce 1 ton oil equivalent energy, and average payback is below 3 years. So if you look at different segments, you can see different saving potentials. The highest potential usually is in the food and beverages sector, paper sector, or wood sector, to specify. If you look at the building segment is somewhat different. So we do have almost 10 million buildings in Turkey, where 75% of them are residential, 6% of them are commercial, and 11% of them are for office use. Annual new building is roughly 100,000 buildings. This is for two reasons. One, for new development projects, and two is the renovation of old buildings in order to be earthquake resistant. So those are for seismic protection sort of new building investments. Almost half of them are over 30 years of age, so we do have quite a lot of buildings to be teared down and build new ones. When you look at the energy consumption, usually in Turkey, 1/3 of total energy consumption is done at buildings, and 1/3 of total energy consumption is done at the industrial plants, and the remaining 1/3 is done in agriculture, transportation, and other different segments. And we calculate 3% demand increase annually on the building sector, where we have the energy potential of 50%. Let me put it this way, 50% is a huge number, but our calculations stated that this is something between 63 to 67, but we didn't want to release that number because it's too high to believe. So we tend to write 50% instead of that number. You can see the specific energy consumption of different buildings, and they are relatively quite high. So we are trying to reduce them by half at least as a strategic plan in Turkey. So if you look at the National Efficiency Action Plan, our 2030 goals in general is to reduce emissions by 100 million ton CO2 equivalent. And if you break it down throughout the years, the strategy is to reduce energy consumption by roughly 1.2 million ton oil equivalent each year, and spending almost $2.5 billion each year. Currently, the energy efficiency market is 2.2 billion a year industry, but that's an estimated value. We do have a new directorate where we say, where the government says that public buildings has to reduce their energy consumption by 30% by 2030. And in order to facilitate that, this is a very recent thing, is that there is presidential decree saying that all public buildings can now sign energy performance contract up to 15 years for their energy efficiency investments. Also, we do have many green buildings here in Turkey, LEED, BREEAM, and Turkish own green building certification system, which is called ESTR. They are all active, but starting from 2026, all new buildings has to have some sort of a green building certification. We do have many incentives in terms of energy efficiency, and the most favorite one is the efficiency improvement project incentive, which is supported by Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources. This is simply a 30% money back sort of incentive, where you invest on energy efficiency measure, and 30% is covered by the government, where you don't have to pay it back. We do have voluntary agreements where you sign a contract with the government, and if you can reduce your energy intensity by 10% or above, you get a bonus fee from the government. We do have investment incentives for energy efficiency and renewable energy applications. Fifth zone means we have different sort of zones where the government supports the investments, and fifth zone is one of the most supported zone in Türkiye. So energy efficiency and renewable energy applications are treated as if they are completed at the fifth zone. We have energy efficiency support program for SMEs, where the SME union covers 50 to 60% of energy audit costs, and also they can cover up to 60% of energy efficiency and renewable energy applications. For this is just for SMEs only. We do have a green industry support program by the Ministry of Technology and Industry, where it's very similar to investment incentive, fifth zone, but this covers more areas such as water efficiency, resource efficiency, reducing raw material usage, and all green transition areas. We also have green transition support scheme, which is handled by Ministry of Commerce, where you get not only the consultancy services covered by the ministry, but also assist and some support on your investment for any sort of actions. So when we come to the ESCO market in Turkey, it's fairly new, I have to say. Although the energy efficiency law kicked in 2007, and although there are companies who are actively running for over 10, 15 years, the pace is going up very recently in the last 3-4 years. So current Turkish energy efficiency market is estimated as $2 billion, which in target or to achieve our goals has to be close to $6 billion. So you can see there is a huge potential for the upcoming years. ESCO market is roughly 2.5% of the total energy efficiency market, which is estimated to be $50 million right now. But those are really estimated values that we gather from our members of the association. We don't have the exact figures here in Turkey, but we have placed a recommendation to the ministry, and they are working on that. Hopefully by next year flowing from the banks, financial institutions, and other regulatory authorities. So if you consider renewable energy applications, this is 2.5% is for energy efficiency only. But for renewable energy applications, it's estimated to be $100 million as well in terms of ESCO business. There are currently 67 accredited energy efficiency consultancy companies in Turkey from the Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources, but the total number of ESCOs active, as per our information, is 7 on energy efficiency and 6 on renewable energy. So the process is quite similar. They all do the preliminary audit, then the detailed analysis, detailed engineering design, then they present their offer. After signing the contract, they do the implementation, planning, installation, project management, everything. Some of the projects where the ESCO brings the finance, they also sign a financial contract with the financial institution. So after all the installations, then it becomes the phase for measurement and verification, plus the service and maintenance issues. So on that matter, in Turkey, we do have on one side international CMVP certified professionals who get training from us with the support of EVO, and we also have Turkish measurement and verification protocol and many certified professionals on that area as well. But Turkish measurement and verification protocol is quite similar to IPMVP. This is similar, but the type of contracts are mainly, you can divide them under 5 different categories. One of them is what we call the guaranteed savings. The investment is done by the customer, so you don't bring the finance on the table. But what ESCO does is that they guarantee the saving, but in Turkish market, it's not the actual savings, it's the performance of the equipment that you install. Let me give you an example. If it's a chiller, so then if you guarantee that the chiller will operate at a COP of 5 or 6, you guarantee the performance. You don't guarantee how long it operates, at under what capacity it operates, and how much saving it will cause. Because usually currently in Turkish market, almost all the ESCO projects are signed with private sector and in the industrial segment. That is why you don't know the productional changes, you don't know the weather conditions, so there are too much risks, and there are no sort of insurance policies to cover that. So both parties agreed that ESCO guarantees the performance of the equipment that they install, not the actual savings. ESCO covers technology and application risks like all around the world, and ESCO provides service and maintenance, but on guaranteed saving case, it's a separate contract. So it's an additional contract where you sign after implementation, after acceptance of the project, you sign an amendment to your initial contract and provide service and maintenance issues. Then we have the shared savings model. Here again, the shared savings model, let me clarify this issue. It's not, again, you don't guarantee the savings, the actual savings, and you don't actually share the savings. What's done in Turkey is that ESCO provides the financing, ESCO guarantees the performance of the system. But before the contract, we usually make calculation, a baseline calculation of the system, and we calculate the annual savings, and we agreed on if the performance achieved at the designated point, then this much savings will occur. So it's a pre-accepted case. So as long as the equipment delivers the performance, you get similar amount of payment from the customer, which is based on calculated savings. So we do have energy supply contracting, where the ESCO installs a system which produces energy, not only electricity, but it can be also utilities such as steam, chilled water, compressed air, whatever it is. So you make an agreement on unit price of that utility, and you operate the system. So ESCO operates it, ESCO makes the investment, and the customer pays based on the utility provided to the facility. So we have leasing type contracts where the ownership of the equipment belongs to ESCO company. So you have fixed monthly rental payments based on performance. Again, the performance of the equipment is guaranteed, and the rest is covered by the ESCO. And last but not least, finally, we do have the EPC plus F model, which is engineering, procurement, and construction with financing. So an ESCO company, usually this is signed on renewable energy projects, big site projects, greenfield projects. So ESCO brings the financial institution, but the loan is supplied to the customer directly, not to the ESCO company. The rest is quite the same. So if you look at the ESCO market in general with pros and cons, we do have in Turkey a huge contractor portfolio. Turkish contractors are the second largest community in the world after China. We do have a very strong HVAC industry. You can find all the brands. They're all manufactured in Turkey with quite a lot of Turkish brands as well. HVAC industry is quite important, as you already know. We do have a geographical location advantage where we are very close to almost the biggest part of the world with just 3 hours flight to Europe, to Middle East, to North Africa, to Western Asia. So we do have a geographical location advantage. We do have a good NGO infrastructure with many NGOs with quite a lot of awareness raising activities. Green finance is widely available in Turkey through EBRD, World Bank, AFD, Islamic Bank, and all those banks. And we do have a very strong banking system here in Turkey with quite a lot of public and private banks. So they can offer green finance, and government's dedication on hedging energy imports by reducing energy consumption is something where we enjoy the benefits of. If you look at the cons, we do have legislative issues, especially for public sector, because now we do have energy performance contract laws in place for the public sector. It's not quite easy to follow. So right now, so far, there are only 4 contracts signed because the conditions that they require is quite challenging. But we are working with Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources on that matter. We are hoping that it will be finalized within this year, and with the next year, it will be much easier and to get into those projects. So it will be highly promoted in the public buildings as well. On insurance side, we do have a couple of companies who can provide a couple of insurances, but we need to have some sort of more compliant insurance policies in order to secure financing for bigger investment projects. Macroeconomic situation here in Turkey is quite challenging, as we do have high inflation, so therefore high interest rates is really challenging for energy efficiency investments. However, there is always a possibility to get a loan in foreign currencies such as US dollars or euros, where those are very much similar to other markets. There is uncertainty on customer side on technical measures and guaranteed savings, so that create another barrier here, because usually some of the previous energy efficiency investments, their results are manipulated, so there is uncertainty for future applications, and that creates also some sort of risks. So this is basically what the Turkish ESCO market looks like. I would like to take this opportunity to invite you all to the second International ESCO Symposium, which is going to take place in 7th and 8th of May in Istanbul. So if you can go to escosymposium2025.com webpage, you can simply follow the steps and register there for 2 days. And also during registration, if you need any sort of hotels or other things, our organization committee has prepared different packages. If you want to stay longer in Turkey for touristic site visits, you can see packages as well on that registration area. So we would like to welcome you all in Istanbul in a month's time, where more than 100 people already registered, and we have 2 full-day events followed by a half-day networking program. So thank you for joining today for my presentation, and I would like also to thank Global ESCO Network to give us the opportunity to explain Turkish ESCO market. If you have any questions, please feel free to share with me. I think Søren will direct them to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Onur, for this comprehensive presentation. And for a market which is generally short of data, I'm impressed with the number with the amount of data that you've been able to present from the Turkish market. We do have a number of questions from the audience. I'm aware of time. We don't have that much time left in for the remaining part of the hour. So I'll just quickly rush to question number one.
Just for your information, I can stay 10 minutes longer than our planned time. So if there are questions, I can answer them.
Okay, perfect. We will see how far we get, and maybe we can get all the way through the list here. It's not that many. Anyway, here we go. Okay. Building retrofit programs for the residential sector. You mentioned that, but can you share the details of it? Do you have further substantiation?
Definitely, there are a couple of programs. One of them is run by Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change, which is called Energy Efficiency in Public Buildings. It's basically financed by World Bank. The first stage was a $200 million financing mechanism. Now the second phase is like $350 million financing mechanism. So on that project, ministry is trying to renovate deep renovation projects for public buildings, which is signed as energy performance contracts, but they don't require any sort of financing. They just want to have guaranteed savings. So it's a simplified version of an energy performance contract, basically. So this is one side on public building renovation. On private sector, there are two things. One, the commercial building side, there is a request for energy efficiency or deep renovation projects. So that's that's the optimistic side. So those are private contracts which you can simply go and sign with the building owner. For the seismic renovation projects, if it's an old building, when the building is constructed, the regulatory framework is not suitable for the current one, then you cannot do any sort of energy efficiency investment on that building. It's mandatory to tear down the building and build a new one, an efficient one. We do have building energy performance certificates for the buildings, and it has to be right now minimum B class. A is the highest class. It has to be minimum B. And for certain buildings, big buildings, let's say, there is also mandatory condition to put at least 5% of the building general consumption from renewable sources. So they have to have some sort of rooftop panels and all those things. So this is the current situation in Turkey.
Many thanks. The Renewable Energy Law promulgated in 2005 and until the Climate Change Law until 2025, 20 years later, do you have numbers of how much was achieved in terms of energy efficiency and renewable energy and emissions reduction in numbers? Would you have that available?
I do have some numbers, but not starting from 2005. What we did is there was a National Energy Efficiency Action Plan, the first one, which was in 2017 until 2023. So in that period, we have reduced 16% on the energy intensity. In general, if you look at the figures from that period, 2005, the cumulative calculation is like 30-35%. But that's not just based on energy efficiency. There is also renewable energy applications. On renewable energy, we currently have a huge investment in place. So let me give you one number about the total installed capacity. Total production. For example, in 2024, total production in the first 10 months is like 290 terawatt hours, and where the 10, 18, almost 55% is generated by renewable energy. The biggest portion is hydroelectric, as 23%. Then wind, it is 10.5. Then solar, it's 8.2. Geothermal, 3.2. And biomass, 3%. So these are the numbers that I got.
As I said before, you have the data available. That's impressive. I'm not sure whether that also responds to the follow-up question, which is on if you should look at the distribution between energy efficiency and renewable energy investment. Where would you see the largest investment? I mean, I guess the answer itself.
There is we also do, as an association, we also challenge those motives behind those investments. So when we asked that question to investors, we understood that when they're investing on renewable energy, they treat it as a new business investment. Okay, you pay the money, you install the photovoltaic panels, you produce electricity, you sell it to the grid, and you make money out of it. So there is a money flow to your bank account after investment. But for energy efficiency applications, when you make the investment, there is no money flow. The amount of money going out from your bank account reduces down. So as a psychological approach, they think that energy efficiency is not sort of an investment. But having said that, on industrial side, this is highly and very carefully taken in place. So they are focusing on energy efficiency investment, because at the end of the day, they have to report back to industrial distribution networks about their water consumption, raw material consumption, energy consumption, blah, blah, with their sustainable reporting mechanisms and everything. So on industrial side, this is taken very seriously. But on building side, there are quite a lot of challenges. Not only on residential sector, where it's multi-owned, it's difficult to sign a contract, but also on most of the commercial buildings, such as shopping malls, where there is one owner and all the shops are subletted. So the owner doesn't care about what the energy bill is going to be, since the shops are paying for it. So it's not an easy task in Turkey in terms of building, but both the government and the ESCO sector is trying to push that area and try to have some sort of new rules, regulations, or mandatory mechanisms to be more active.
Very well, but I see that you're facing the split incentives challenges like every other market. In fact, there's one question specifically on the contracts here, which is why the maintenance contract is kept outside the main ESCO contract, and has been considered to include performance-based maintenance in the contracts.
Definitely, if ESCO brings the finance on, such as like shared savings model or rental leasing model, so it's included in the contract, service and maintenance. The only contract that's not included is basically the performance guarantee contract, which we call, actually, it's basically a sale contract with performance guarantee. So usually equipment sales contracts, they don't cover the after sales service issues. This is how the business is done in Turkey. That's the main reason. So for performance guaranteed contracts only, the service and maintenance is covered with a separate contract after acceptance of the project.
Very well. In terms of audit standards, international audit standards, which are adopted in Turkey? Example here is mentioned ASHRAE standard 211, which I'm actually
basically Turkey has its own standards, but they are very similar to ASHRAE standards. And if you are a foreign company who would like to do business in Turkey, you can simply come and use ASHRAE standards or some other country standards in Turkish market as well. The only issue is that there are some mandatory detailed energy audits. Okay, so those mandatory audits have some sort of a report type, which is required by the government, because that company has to submit it to the government. So those mandatory detailed energy audits has to be completed by a Turkish certified energy auditor. So that's the critical situation. Other than that, if you are doing business with any private company or anybody else, you can use all international standards as long as your customer accepts it.
Very well. Just one last question. We are coming to an end now. Do you have a national energy efficiency fund in Turkey?
We don't have the National Energy Efficiency Fund, unfortunately. This is something quite difficult to have it in Turkey. And we don't have any sort of super ESCO in Turkey as well. All the ESCO companies that are active in energy efficiency and renewable energy in Turkey are private companies. Some of them are international companies, multinational companies. So we don't have that fund.
Very well. Well, that concludes my list of questions here. So once again, I would like to thank both you, Onur, and all of you out there having joined us today and having submitted your questions to us. It's been interesting to have this exchange, and I certainly hope that we can continue that exchange in Istanbul in a month's time.
Istanbul.
As Onur also mentioned, we are having the second International ESCO Symposium in Istanbul on 7th and 8th of May. We will, as I mentioned in the beginning, also share with you after the webinar today an email with a registration link. So even though we didn't see you today, we certainly hope to see you in Istanbul in a month's time. That's all for now. Thanks, Onur. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for inviting us. Hope to see you in Istanbul next month.